Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Monday, the 4th of April, 2016, and this is episode 173, Pikachu. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. How was your week? Mine was okay. I'm tired today. I got called into work 2 hours early yesterday, so yeah, that made for a longish day, and then I stayed up late because I was going to finish a project before work, and I didn't because I got called in early, so I stayed up finishing the project and then worked on a couple other things because I was up anyway. Let's see, is there anything noteworthy about the week? I'm trying to think. I always get here and I forget about the things that happened during the week. So there may or may not have been something noteworthy. If there is, I'll remember later. My hair is a total bedhead right now. Considered doing it, but then I was like, it'll be fine. So it's fine. Whatever. It's a hot mess over here. Let's see. Oh, yes. I'm having a hard time getting started today. Sorry. The tube sock knit along ended, and there were 10 entries. 10? 11. 10, I think. 10 entries. Anyway, I closed the thread and drew at the same time. And the winner for that is post number 3, who is Eat My Yarns, who is Brandy. And it's kind of fitting that Brandy won because she made 5 pairs of tube socks. So half of the number of tube socks in the finished objects thread were hers. Congratulations, Brandy. Send me your name and your mailing address and I will get that skein of yarn out to you. I hope you like it because I think it's super beautiful. And again, thank you, Christina, for sending the prize. I pulled also my next project bag. You can see over my shoulder right here that it's only 2 bags up there because the Foxy bag from Kitchen Counter Crafter won. So the next socks I will be making for myself will be using this gorgeous skein from 716 Knit. It's the Hell Hath No Fury, Like a Woman Scorned for Sega colorway, which was the ZK 2015 colorway. And I am making the steampunkery socks using this. It's the only one of my sock yarns that I set aside for this year that I was like, I have a pattern in mind for you when you get pulled. So I think it'll be perfect because steampunkery has a lot going on. It's super high texture, cables, I think, maybe some lace in there. And this yarn is just speckly enough to keep it interesting for me without getting in the way of the pattern, I think. Oh my gosh. I love this colorway so much. It's so beautiful. And every skein of it is different, obviously, because it's hand dyed. And some of them are a little more of this like goldy orange color. I wanted one that was mostly pink and blue. So, love it. So I'm looking forward to that. But again, I'm not working on that until I finish the Raptor socks for me. My daughter is this silly. So those will be coming up soon. I will be winding that yarn sometime this week because I'm really close on Raptor. I am also, while I'm totally talking about random things, I'm also going to start 2 pairs of socks today. One I will be knitting 2 at a time, and one I will be knitting 1 at a time using my 9-inch circulars. So yeah, it is time. It is the 4th of the month. I haven't cast on anything new this month. Did I even cast on anything new last month other than the Pikachu hat? I don't think so, because I was so sick at the end of February into March that I really haven't cast anything new on in a long time, and now I'm going to cast on 2 new things today, and I have a third that's just waiting for another project to get off the needle so I can justify casting it on. Anyway, finished object, I have one and I'm super excited about it. It is the Pikachu hat, which looks like this. Oh my god, I love it so, so much. And if I would wear it, I would totally make one for myself, but I wouldn't wear this. I just think it's so, so cute, unless I were going to a convention, which I haven't been to any sort of non-knitting convention since 2004. So I'm probably not going to one in the future unless one of my friends is like, oh my gosh, we have to go. But look at how cute this hat is. I love the floppy ears. A couple people who I've shown the hat to have been like, but Pikachu's ears stick up. And I'm like, you lack for imagination and styling because I love the ears so, so much. And the guy that I'm making it for at work is super excited about it. I was almost done yesterday. This is the project that I really, really wanted to finish before work. All I had left to do before work yesterday was sew on these cheek portions, which doesn't take very long. Maybe 10 minutes a cheek, but I just didn't have 20 minutes. So I couldn't finish it, and I showed it to him because the eyes and the nose and the mouth were done and the cheeks were pinned on with safety pins, and he was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. I was like, good, I'm so glad you like it. So, oh my, look at that face. Oh my gosh, I'm so in love with this hat. Do you ever make things and like you're making it and you're like, oh, this is okay, and then you start the finishing portion of it and you're like, this is the best thing ever. I am a genius. That's kind of how I feel with this. So I gave the breakdown last week for basically how I made the hat. And per Haley's request, I will be putting the pattern notes on my project page sometime in the next couple days. Hopefully before the podcast gets up, but I'm not going to write the pattern. I'm just going to throw it in my project page. So if you want this adorable Pikachu hat, go decipher the project notes, and I'll answer questions if you have them, I guess. So anyway, here's what it looks like. Knit all the body, put the 28 stitches on either side on holders so I could knit those. Do I have what is this? Hold on. It looks kind of like a drop stitch, but it's actually just a stitch that got caught on something. We're good. Kitchenered the middle, did the ears, did short rows right here. The black parts are knit on the bias, and then decreased across here. And then for the face, I switched to crochet and embroidery. So the eyes are black circles. The main part of the hat is knit in Knit Picks fingering weight stroll in the dandelion colorway. And then the circle for the eyes are crocheted using Premier Serenity sock, and probably just the black colorway, I don't even know. The white circles are the wool-like, the 100% acrylic light fingering weight from Michaels, which they didn't have last time I was there because I was gonna just make the whole hat out of wool-like, but no. And then I am not 100% positive what this red yarn is. I used it to make a pair of socks like 2 years ago. I ordered the yellow yarn for the hat. I did not order any of the other yarns because he wasn't sure if he wanted a face or not. And then I showed him the hat almost finished with the ears. I had like 30 more rounds to go on the ear. No, I would say 40 rounds to go on the ear. The second ear, and I was like, face or no face? And he was like, face. And I was like, okay, let's see what I have. And I didn't think I had any more solid red scraps kicking around, but I did, so that's good. And then the nose is just several kind of whip stitches, one over the other. And this is, what is that stitch called? It's an embroidery stitch, and it's just a chain. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I want one just to have one, but I would never wear it except for, I think I'm going to wear it for the entirety of the podcast because I can. And then I'll be giving this hat to him either today, or if he's not working when I'm working, then I will be leaving it at work for him because I know he works tomorrow and I do not. Let's try to center it. There we go. Oh my gosh, look at that face. Sometimes improvised projects are the best projects. I worked on several things, including the Josie socks. Let's see, that's where I was last week on both socks, and I am now ready to put in the heels. So I'll put in the heels, and then I think my plan, the foot right now is 2 full pattern repeats. I think I'm going to tentatively do 2 full pattern repeats up the leg and then do a cuff. I'm not using the heel in the Josie pattern. I went to the length that I need to put in a Fish Lips Kiss heel. I'll put in that heel, and then I will go see what the pattern says to do for the leg, and then go from there. But I love this. I love this pattern. I love the yarn. It's Science Monkey Mercantile Faraday sock in the Rosalind Franklin's Overexposed Photograph colorway, and I just love them so, so much. We'll see how I feel. Okay, so here's the downfall for me for toe-up socks. We'll see about leg length once I start knitting it, because the nice thing about toe-up socks is when you get tired of knitting the leg, as long as your foot and heel are done, it's a pair of socks. Like, you could just throw a cuff on that and be done. I'm going to attempt to do a decent length leg, but I don't know. We'll see how I feel when I get through one pattern repeat. And also how much yarn I have left, because I have a decent portion right now, but I want to be able to put a square in my barn racing square blanket. So I need to make sure I have enough yarn left over for that, because these socks are not for me, obviously. I'm making 4 pairs for myself this year. This is not one of them. Oh, it's so pretty though. Look at that. I love it so much. And these are knit on size 1 2.25 millimeter needles. And I'm sorry if I know I totally just sniffled. It is springtime. I have allergies or sinuses or something going on, just like everybody else. So if I'm gross and I don't catch it, just know that I'm really sorry. And I really, really try to be conscious of not doing those things because it's gross. Anyway, yeah, here are the socks, and I'm going to do, I might wait until tomorrow to put in the first heel and then do the second heel the next day. I might do it today. We'll see how it goes since now the Pikachu hat is done, but I am casting on those 2 new projects today, so I don't know. I may or may not start the heel on that today. I worked on the child tube socks for Mara, and where was I last week? This pink marker means nothing. It's my, the pink marker is my progress marker. I do 5 rounds a day, at least on these socks. So I put the marker in for 5 rounds at the end of the row and then just move it over once every time I hit it to make sure I get 5 rounds in. So that's what that was. The zombie marker is where I was last week. It's about 35 rounds. I can't remember if I recorded on Tuesday or Monday last week, so it's either 30 or 35 rounds. I am about to start, I have 5 rounds to go until the next ribbing portion starts, and I think that the next ribbing portion will be my last. Hold on, I'm going to figure it out. It's pearls, and it's, I have to decide. Okay, I think I'm going to do 40 rounds of the next ribbing section, and then add 4 stitches to my knitting and then do 10 more rounds just for a little bit of 2x2 complete at the top of the sock. We'll see. I'll have Mara try them on and decide how much, if I'm going to do just the 10 rounds at the top or if I'm going to do more. This yarn is Leading Men Fiber Arts Show Stopper Base in the Royalty colorway. It's left over from when I knit those mittens, the Galaxy mittens, and it's a little bit of a mess right now because I'm having a little bit of yarn barf, but not bad. I think if I just remove that, oh yeah, if I just remove that strand, it's all fine. And I wound this with the handle of something to make this ball because I was in between ball winders at the time. Anything else about these socks? No, I don't think so. I'll put the round counts on the project page, and hopefully they'll be, if not knee-high socks on Mara, pretty long socks. I think about there is how long it's going to be on her foot, so it's the length of her foot and then that length again right now, and I still have at least 55 rounds to go. So we'll see how it goes when I try them on her. And she's still so cute about them. I love my Christmas socks, Mom. The yarn's really nice to work with. The pattern is obviously fantastic since it's my own. And what else? Those are really the three things I've been knitting on, I think. Oh no, I almost forgot one. I worked on the Raptor Socks by Jenny Stamen, and this is White Birch Fiber Arts in the colorway I Eats Me Spinach. And I don't remember where I was last week. I think I've doubled the size of it. Well, I mean, that would make sense, right? Because I had started the second one the day after or the day of the podcast 2 weeks ago. So that would have been 1 week worth of knitting and then a second week. So it would be doubled. Obviously, it's doubled in size. I will be finishing these socks in the coming week. They'll be a finished object next week. Yay! And I know this because I have 8 more rows of the current section that I'm on. So 4 more days of work, and then the short row section and Kitchenerring, which I will probably do all in one day. Maybe not, but probably. So that's less than 7 days, and I will have a new pair of socks. And they're such a cool pair of socks. I'm super excited about that. This pattern is free on Knitty. It is very, very cool. It's knit flat, so you knit from, well, because I'm doing the, what is that? The mirrored, the reflective, whatever, the second sock, and it's done backwards. First I purl. So I purl all the way around doing the necessary increases and decreases. And then I knit all the way from this needle all the way to here, keep going. So the rows are very long, and 2 rows of progress actually makes a lot of progress on the sock every day. Much more than 2 rounds of knitting on a sock does. And it's knit on the bias, it's knit flat, it will spiral around my foot, and I just love it so much. It's so pretty, the yarn is pretty, the pattern is very well written, it makes a lot of sense. It's a little daunting. If you're going to make this sock, the pattern's a little daunting. It's a little daunting the way that the Fish Lips Kiss Heel is daunting, where there's a lot of information about measuring your foot, and whereas with the Fish Lips Kiss Heel you can kind of skip over a lot of the information. With this one, you really want to pay attention to the math at the beginning. It's not scary math. It's mostly just measuring. And it's to ensure a good fit. So it's a little daunting. 15 pages when you open a pattern is a little daunting, especially for a sock. But, I mean, it's not... I've done cookie 8 patterns that I think were like 7 pages, and those were actually more intimidating than this. So this is pretty easy peasy. I would say that if you are a beginner knitter and you can follow instructions and pay attention, you could knit this sock. Is there anything else? Yes, they're knit on size US 1, but it's a 2.5 millimeter needle instead of my normal 2.25 millimeter. And so the gauge is just a skosh off. So I went down a size in the pattern than I would knit if I was doing on 2.25 millimeter needles, but it's fitting fine, and I think the fabric will hold up fine. I think the socks will wear fine. I mean, I'll probably wear them out quickly because they'll probably be my favorite socks for a while. And I have this really bad tendency of wearing my favorite socks like half of the week. So at least 3 days out of 7, that's a lot of wear for socks. So I tend to wear holes in my favorites quickly, but then I darn them instead of just throwing them away, so it's okay. And this will be an adventure in darning since the sock is directional. I'm actually kind of excited for the first time I have to fix these socks. I don't want to fix these socks. I don't want them to get a hole in them, but do you understand what I'm saying? I'm such a knitting nerd. I just like to learn all the new things and do new things, and let's be serious, I'm just a nerd in general. I don't remember if I told you that Gabriel had his first ever research project a couple weeks ago, and I was just so excited to like do all the researchy things with him. Like, we went to the library and I was finishing a book because I only had 20 pages to go when we got there, and we went with my best friend Becca. So I was like, Becca, show him how to use the computer to find books on the topic he wants, and make sure to write down the call numbers and show him how to find things in the library. And she did, so that I could finish my book so we could just leave it there and I wouldn't have to carry that book home. And I was super, super excited about that. Plus, Gabriel loves Becca, and Gabriel would rather do anything with Becca than with me. Moms know how that goes. I don't begrudge it. But I was just so, I was so geeked about the whole thing, and I was really excited for him to read me the books about the salamanders because that's what he had to do research on, and then he had to give a presentation, and he said that went really well. So anyway, totally geeked out about that. I love trying new things and learning new things in general. I worked on a spinning project. So you might remember back in January, I was like, oh, I'm going to have these goals for my crafting this year, including working on 1 work in progress and 1 decoration for 4 hours during the month. So 1 hour a week. And I did that pretty much in January. I finished a work in progress, and then I think maybe I was like, no, I think I put in more time per day on the wall hanging, the Christmas wall hanging, what is that called? Advent calendar, than time had called for. So I did pretty well. And then February, I didn't do it the first couple weeks, and then I got sick. And so I definitely didn't work on it after I got sick, on my work in progress or my seasonal decoration. And then last month I was sick for a good portion. I was sick for the first week, like still sick, and then recovering pretty much the rest of the month. So trying to keep up with projects and stuff. So even though I drew the projects and the decorations that I was supposed to work on, I didn't work on them. Well, it's the beginning of April, and I still drew again. So let me tell you what I should have been working on for the past several months. So February was Mandy's sweater and Easter or spring. March was my Christmas garland, which I'm sure that I talked about it on the podcast once, but I don't even know if you guys know what that is. And also summer, working on summer. stuff. And now for April, it's working on the painted tiger spinning and Halloween decorations. So I'm going to attempt to catch up on those 4-hour blocks of all of those things. Maybe not all this month, because that would be a lot of time dedicated to not the projects that I want to immediately finish. But I am going to attempt to work on them a little bit. Like if I do 2 hours on some this month and then finish them next month, I think that'll be okay. Because I don't want to give up on those goals, you know? I do want decorations, and I want my works in progress bin of, I mean, now they're kind of UFOs. I want that to empty out a little bit. I don't want to keep carrying over all those works in progress all the time. So I'm going to attempt to be better at that. And in that vein, I did work on the painted tiger. So I don't know if I have a picture of this or not, but if I do, I'll show a before picture and a current picture. And this is the single that I'm spinning right now. And the single went from this yellow color into pink, and it will go into purple. And I'm keeping that in the bag that Jerry made me because I love it so much. It's such a good spinning bag because it's got the satiny lining so the fiber doesn't stick. Anyway, I've only done about 20 minutes of spinning, but it's closer to 4 hours of spinning than 0 minutes, right? Yeah. So I'm not just spinning the single though. So here's the single. Just detached it. I'm also plying. So here is the first ball that I wound off on my ball winder from my spindle when I got too full, and it's just barely started. I'm doing a Navajo ply, which is also called chain plying. So what you do is you make a loop and you pull the strand through and you make another loop and you don't drop it, theoretically. And you make another loop and then you ply that together. I make my loops very long so that there aren't join bumps, because there are little tiny bumps where you start the loop again. So I make my loops very long. I make them from the floor to about this high when I'm standing. And then ply it as I normally would, and then wind it onto this lovely spindle that Jennifer of Daisy Knits gifted me because she's fabulous. And my plan right now is to do 5 minutes of spinning the single and then 5 minutes of plying every day. We'll see how that goes. I have this ply ball and then this ply ball where it's going to go from the yellow into a little bit of that pink. I keep papers of some sort or the other in the middle so that the ball doesn't collapse onto itself and become a big mess when I'm trying to ply it. So we'll see. I might have to end up making it just spinning 10 minutes a day, depending on how far I get on plying, which would not be a bad problem to have because that would mean that I had finished plying both of these ply balls and hadn't wound off the third one of singles yet, which I don't think is going to happen. I think I'll wind off the third thing of singles before I get to the ply ball. And you would think that I'd be spinning and plying the same amount, but it's not quite an equal length every day. It's a little more spinning because I bring my hand a little bit higher when I'm spinning a single than when I'm plying. But that's going. And I'm really glad that it's going because I think it will be lovely. I don't have plans for it. They're not really my colors. I won the fiber from the Knitting Game podcast, and it's beautiful. It's a lovely spin. It's a merino silk blend. It's lovely. It's just I'm not a yellow pinky type person, but someone out there is going to love either the yarn or the project I make out of it. I don't know yet. I don't know what this is going to be when it grows up. Right now it's just spinning, and it's just lovely. And we'll see how far I get by the end of the month. I'm really trying to do the spinning every day thing. We'll see how it goes though. My last work in progress is the Care Bear cross stitch, which I'm super in love with. I don't remember exactly where I was last week, but I do know that I worked more on the cloud. I started the heart. So this is the red outline, and then the middle is filled in with pink. In the actual pattern, it's blue, but I decided to go with red. I finished all of the face except for the nose and the outlining of the mouth and muzzle, which I think I might do maybe today. Maybe not. Probably today. I think I'm going to do it today so that I can see the finished face, so I can decide whether or not I want to duplicate stitch a mouth on, like the actual 2 stitches for the mouth, because in the pattern it's an open mouth and I autopiloted and forgot those 2 stitches. So I might do that today. That's actually the reason why I did the outline of the heart, because it has back stitching from the star to the heart in the same color as the nose and around the muzzle. It has that back stitching for a string from the Star Buddy's little point, I guess. I was going to say hand, but it's not really a hand. Little point up to the balloon because the Star Buddy's holding the balloon. So I think I'm going to do that today. And that's why I did the outline, because it makes a little bow over the heart. And I really want to do that back stitching so I can be completely finished with that color of floss completely. Because it's like a little checkpoint. Yes. When you finish with a color of floss in your cross stitch. I definitely did shading on both arms last night, so that's new. And I can't remember if I had started filling in the moon last week or not, but I'm starting to fill in the moon. Some progress. 7 strands of floss went into this week, because I do 1 a day, and then I move on to other things. I think if I sat down and just cross-stitched on this a whole bunch one day, I wouldn't want to cross-stitch anymore. I really think it's because I only let myself do 1 strand every day that I'm like, I just want to do this little piece that's so exciting. I need to have limits on myself in order to keep the enjoyment levels up, because I'm a weirdo like that. Oh, it's so cute. So cute. I was talking with Josh. I don't remember if this was last week or this week, so I might be repeating myself. But one of the things that I really love about cross stitch is that it's like drawing, but not like drawing. Like you're making a picture, but it's pre-planned out for you. But it's still the magic of when you're drawing a picture and things come out the way you want them to look. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm not worried about it making sense. It is what it is. So modular projects. I did 0 hexapuffs this week. I know, I did so good last week. And then this week, I just never sat down to start any of them. I thought about it a few times. I even pulled a couple yarns out, but then never cast it on. I should cast some on immediately following hitting the stop button on recording. Because at least then they'll be cast on and they'll be sitting there and I'll be like, oh, let me just knit across a needle while I'm sitting here. And then maybe 6 of them will get done this week. Anyway, I have Barn Raising Square number 66. This is a random bit of yarn that I got from one of the ZKs. I don't know what it is. I don't know the colorway, but I do know that it's a lovely green color. And while I'm not so into having a ton of solid squares in my Barn Raising Square blanket, there are certain colors that I feel are fine, like green. And I'm going to put a red one in, the red that I used on the cheek. That's going to be a solid square. Of course, yellow is not, because you know how I feel about yellow. Anyway, I also did square number 23 on my mitered square blanket. It's this one right here. And this is also a mini skein from the ZK, I think, although it might be from one of my friends. But I think it's from the ZK. And this is progress on the first quarter of this square, this blanket. I'm really, really excited about it. I can't wait until, I can wait. I'm waiting very patiently and working very diligently, but I'm excited for when this starts really looking like a blanket. And I don't count it as a blanket when it's foldable. I know some podcasters do, and I think that that's adorable, but I don't count it as a blanket yet. It's kind of a glorified pot holder right now. All I have left for you is what I'm reading. I finished reading The Siren by Kira Cass, and you guys, she is quick becoming one of my favorite young adult authors right now. This book is so good. If you've been watching for a while, you know that I loved the Selection series, and I've read everything in the library that's by her so far, and this is her newest release. I love her writing style so much. It goes so quickly. It's like your best friend telling you a story, basically. It's super conversational. Not a lot of slang, which I appreciate because I feel like it makes it a little more timeless. It's just so good. I want to tell you all the things about the book, but I really want you to go read the book. It's a really, really interesting take on the Siren mythology. It's so good. So I can't remember what I told you last week, but the premise is that sirens are girls, no wives, no mothers, who are part of a group of people who are being claimed by the ocean, and they cry out to be saved. And the ocean decides whether or not to save them, and then the sirens who are then tell the new girl about her job, basically, which is to sing to get people to drown themselves in sacrifice to the ocean, who needs the sacrifice to then sustain life for the rest of the planet. And the sirens are indentured into the life for 100 years. Oh, it's so good. It's so very interesting. I love the characters. After I finished The Siren, I asked Josh what I should read, and I told him the 3 books that I had sitting on my leaf of my desk over here. There were only 3 then. Now there are 6. So the library, my secret boyfriend, gave me more presents this week in the form of books that were on hold. But I let Josh pick from the 3 that were on my desk to decide what I would read next. And he picked Tiny Pretty Things, which is a book that I didn't put on hold at the library. It's just one that when we went, I don't know, sometime in the past couple weeks, I was looking for something else. I think I was looking to see if there was anything else by Cinda Williams Chima, who wrote the Seven Realms series. I went to see if there was anything else from her, and there wasn't. And this is by Sophia Sharapatra and Danielle Clayton. Can you pronounce those names? And I saw the title and I was like, Tiny Pretty Things. I wonder what that's about, because I had a few ideas, and I saw the word ballet on the back and I was like, oh, done deal. I'm getting it. I don't even care if it's good or not. Because once upon a time when I was very little, I desperately wanted to be a ballerina, and I took one season of ballet lessons, but they were expensive and couldn't afford them. So in kindergarten, I was a ballerina. And I kind of always wanted to be a ballerina, but just, lessons and stuff. So every once in a while, I indulge in ballerina reading. And this is a really good book. If you like young adult and you like ballerinas, and it's not any other subgenre. It's just young adult.
That's too small. I took your phone.
Okay, go ahead. Take my phone. And obviously I'm enjoying it because I am that far, and I think I started it on Friday. I think. Maybe Thursday. It's basically if you took Mean Girls and put it in the setting of a ballet conservatory. It's the American Ballet Conservatory, which feeds into the American Ballet Company. It's so good. Yeah, it's very, there are some very ruthless, cutthroat characters because it's high competition for spots for solos. And it's kind of vicious, kind of awful. Some of the things that happen in the book are really, really awful, but I can't not read it. I don't know. Even right now, I'm like, oh, just a couple pages. I'll just read a chapter because they're pretty short most of the time. I think it's 430 something pages, and there are 50 or 55. Nope, just 50 chapters, but it's 438 pages. So they're pretty short chapters. It's kind of addicting. Which means that this is going to be finished next week, and I'll have a new book to talk about. That's what I have for you. So I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string, and I will see you next week. Bye.